Done. So please, Cockfight, it's your hour. If you want to open your microphone.
You guys are ready for us, you said?
Hello.
I think do we need another couple of minutes? I think we're not right on the hour just yet. Just in case some other people are still tuning in.
Okay. Let's just wait 3 or 4 minutes to it.
Perfect. Perfect. Morning, Brett. Morning, Luke. Good to see you both.
Good morning.
Good morning. There we are.
Or good evening. Sorry, good evening in your case.
Yeah, I tried to find a place that was safe from the rioting so I could finish the Zoom call before my city burns down.
Is this rioting that you've started, or
No.
I would like to presentation.
I would like to take credit for that, but no, it's not.
So we'll give you just another minute, and while we're waiting for the hour. And John, thanks again for an amazing presentation and all your energy and input. I really, really enjoyed that hour with you and the Genital Autonomy Society.
Thanks, Michael.
And I'm looking forward to chatting to you more later, hearing a little bit more about your personal story. Great story, great story. All right.
I've been
hour is here.
It's arrived.
So whenever you're ready, you
okay. All right, I'm Brett Johnson with Cockfight in the USA, and thank you for inviting us to participate in this conference. And Luke Artanis is here too. Do I need? Am I doing this right? I'm doing it right correctly?
Yes, we are hearing you loud and clear, and I just want to check our recording is active.
It's active. It's okay.
Thank you. Brett, please carry on.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just get into it. Cockfight is a street education organization, and our humble attempt to make intactivism cool and appeal to the masses. So you guys should be able to see my.
Yes, we have your slides.
Okay, good. Yeah, I meant to show the slides. Okay, good. So saying that it's our attempt to make intactivism cool. That is critical because we are targeting the most elusive demographic in intactivism. Young adults and teenagers. In other words, society's future parents. Young people in particular are extremely sensitive to what their peers think of them. So our marketing is deliberately designed to be funny, smart, edgy, to make people see that human rights activism can be fun and not feel embarrassed to join us. We think of ourselves as street educators rather than protesters to help strike a less judgmental tone and more congenial tone when interacting with the public. Okay. That's our info card that we came up with. That's one side of it. Just trying to basically put some very likable celebrities on there that are supporters of intactivism. Let's see. We have received mostly positive reactions to the unapologetic name Cockfight from every demographic, but most encouragingly from an underrepresented key demographic that we are hoping to galvanize, that of young men. At the several American football games we attended, last fall, young men have been enthusiastic to pose in photos with us, even asking to hold our signs. They shout our name and laugh with their buddies. For a moment, we have their attention, and the seed is planted. Of course, we teach them a foreskin fist bump, and they love that, invariably. For the first time in their lives, they question penis cutting. They had no idea that there is a cause fighting for them. They get the message. More than one jock or frat boy has said to us, "Cockfight, now that's a cause I can get behind." I remember one time when we were at a college football game in Nebraska, and there were massive crowds of tailgaters. Football's like a religion in Nebraska, so they take it very seriously. But we were approached by some guys that were kind of like frat boys or jocks, you know, and we didn't have our name on our signs yet. So they're like, "Who are you guys? What is this?" And I go, "We're Cockfight." And the guys, he thought about it for a minute. He's like, "Cockfight, Cockfight." And then he goes, "Yeah, Cockfight." You know, like gave us some fist bump or like some, you know, fist pumps, and they just kind of ran off yelling "Cockfight" and stuff. So they got a kick out of it. People get a kick out of it, especially young men. Let's see. This is before a football game. You can see the marching band on our behind us there, and so young people are the obvious target for intactivism. They are the easiest demographic to persuade because of their open-mindedness and curiosity, and simultaneously the most important age to reach, since they will be starting families in the near future. We want to reach people before they even have an opinion about circumcision, certainly before they're asked to make a decision about it for their child, effectively choosing a side in the debate. For better or worse, in our society, parents are the decision makers regarding the genital integrity of the next generation. So the earlier we educate future parents about genital cutting, the more productive our efforts and reliable our impact will be. This is a really cool technique for getting a photo that we've kind of developed or stumbled across. When we'll have people just come up and want to take selfies with us. So it's not very easy to get a copy of that photo, right? Because it's on their camera. So what I'll very often do is say, "Hey," and I'll hand them my camera phone, right? And I'll say, "Hey, take a selfie with mine too." And then that way we got a copy of it. So that's how we got this one. And that's a real good pro tip for you out there. Last year we did a tour of state fairs. I think about every state in America has a state fair, although probably not this year because of the pandemic. But we decided to hit those. That's a real good way to reach rural America, because those are mostly attended by people who live in rural areas, although not always. Like in Des Moines, their fairgrounds are right there in the middle of Des Moines. So this is what we did starting in August or into September. We went to some of these, and we also hit some early college football games too on that tour. This is the Iowa State Fair. You can see this. It's a great, at the entrances, it's just a great place, a public place to get, where you have captive audiences waiting to cross the street. And you have their attention for 4 or 5 minutes sometimes while the police are directing traffic and they're waiting to cross. I might have gotten ahead of myself with the slides. Okay. To build an army of volunteers, we want to help remove every obstacle. We want to help remove every obstacle that prevents people from becoming intactivists and make it as easy as possible for them. When we develop a strategy When possible, we develop it in a way that would make it most easily duplicable by others. We pursue strategies that can be scaled up to a magnitude necessary to make an impact on a societal level. In this way, intactivists benefit from and build on each other's work, and all of our efforts are magnified. Okay. Because Cockfight is interested in developing strategies that can be easily copied by anybody, we pursue ones that yield the maximum return on a minimum investment of time, money, and volunteers. Areas with high foot traffic or crowds of young people are promising places for reaching thousands of people at a minimal cost of resources. College campuses, this is us on a college campus. We found a real good system was to go to a school's college football game on a Friday night, and then on the subsequent Monday go to campus, and that way some of the people that saw you at the college football game that maybe didn't get a chance to talk to you, they now have an opportunity if they see you on campus just a few days later. So in a lot of colleges in America have free speech zones. This is a free speech zone here in the University of Missouri. Okay, so besides college campuses, people entering college football games or state fairs or waiting for a parade to start are some of our favorite spots so far. Captive audiences, I find, actually appreciate being entertained, even if they won't admit it. Events have the added benefit of being fun places to be. So street education isn't drudgery, and recruiting volunteers is easier. Unsurprisingly, the coronavirus social distancing has thrown a wrench in our plans for crowd education for 2020 and left us in limbo for the time being. Luke, if you want to interject anytime, feel free.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Focus on recruiting. We believe not only that intactivism can be fun, but also that it is most effective when it is fun. When people see us enjoying ourselves, they want to join us. Similarly, activists that aren't having fun and making friends eventually burn out. Most of us are volunteers. We're not going to stick around forever if we're not getting something out of it for ourselves, even if it's just fun and friendship. There are too many other worthy causes to support that compete for our attention. You can't just worry about losing current supporters. You also have to recruit new ones. A movement doesn't grow unless it has a net increase of supporters each year. In order to grow, we need to make having fun an intentional ingredient, not an accidental byproduct or afterthought. Here we're trying to develop a system where we're collecting people's information that are interested in getting involved. So that's one of the things that Luke is working on. Luke, with his programming skills, is working on automating. So we're just trying to streamline that system. But we've got a little clipboard there. You can see this college student is signing up. Okay, humor. By testing a variety of messages on protest signs in a variety of settings, we are currently of the opinion that messages that use humor accompanied by smiles on our faces are the best way to break the ice with the general public. Particularly in festive environments, like sporting events and fairs, people are expecting to have a good time. People don't want to be brought down by an angry protester with a depressing message. When they get the sense that you are a sanctimonious antisocial killjoy, They raise their defenses and they try to avoid you. Conversely, people do love to laugh. And when they see that you are human and have a sense of humor, they respond with a joke, or even they respond with a joke of their own, and rapport is created. When people encounter fun-loving educators, they are more likely to approach them, more likely to engage in a productive conversation, and more likely to snap a photo of themselves with you and to post it on social media. And if it's a funny post, their friends in turn are more likely to share the post, making our message go viral. It is possible to communicate a serious message with humor, even if it sounds like a contradiction in terms. In fact, in a public space, sometimes it's the best way. Fortunately, when your cause is about genitals, there are plenty of opportunities for some good-natured irreverence. Keeping things light has the additional benefit of improving the morale of street educators by limiting their exposure to negative feedback from the crowd, and facilitates positive interactions. So you're left with a good feeling at the end of the day, you know, with all the positive interactions you had. An example of our humor is, incidentally, Cockfight still supports the use of the most scathing and vitriolic language when directed at cutter doctors. These smug assholes should know better and deserve all the condemnation they get from us and worse. So it's, and then this is a video that, this is actually like, I think this was like the first time we went out representing Cockfight, and this is at the Missouri University college football game, and we had a lot of luck. The very first day, we got nearly 500,000 views on this.
Hey, have y'all heard the good news? You don't have to cut your son's penis.
That we,
Hey, have y'all heard the good news?
you know, we really should just,
Cut your son's penis.
Luke, we could just go to the Instagram page for that, actually. I just realized. Is it? Yeah, you can see we were, you know, we're very proud about that. We got nearly 500,000 views on our first day out there representing Cockfight. So that was quite an accomplishment.
Hey, have y'all heard the good news? You don't have to cut your son's penis.
Okay, let's see. How do I get back to, let's see. So I think that I hit every point that I wanted to hit.
All right.
Luke?
Well, I'd like to demonstrate. I'm Luke Artanis, and I'll demonstrate the Cockfight website. This is a proof of concept. What?
Oh,
Am I
Luke, there was
getting ahead of
also
myself?
we wanted to talk about some of the challenges we have.
Yeah, we can
wanted to
talk
do
about
that
the-
now, or
Yeah, we can do that.
we were just discussing some of our challenges that Cockfight faces.
Right, so we want to get a
You go ahead, Luke.
student presence of Intactivists on each campus to share to other students the information they need to learn. So one of the hard things about that is students graduate after 4 years. So you have a constant churn of volunteers and leadership. So you kind of need an external organization that's outside of the universities that's helping each campus organize itself. And that's the kind of the role that Cockfight is going to play. What other challenges do we face?
Well, we talked about conveying the importance of intactivism to people, because it's a very common objection when we're out and about that people say, well, why don't you protest a more important cause, or why not, there are a lot more important causes out there. So we always get that. But I don't know if that's not really specific to Cockfight. I think that all of us deal with that objection.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned censorship, Luke.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are college campuses, even public schools, that don't allow demonstrations on campus. But fortunately, there's a trend right now for college campuses. I mean, this is one good thing that I think that has come from the Trump administration, is that, especially in conservative states, there has been a trend for the public or state schools to allow free speech from not just students and faculty, but also just taxpayers and citizens. So
right, and that helped us get us onto a few campuses because of those new free speech laws.
that's a really encouraging trend. But there are still some schools that won't let us on, obviously private schools, but we can just, a lot of times you can just stand at the, on the border, on the boundary of this campus. But what else? We talked about competing with other issues. I think I touched on that a little bit. Obviously, I just think the biggest part of that is just making it fun. If people don't have fun and make friends, then we're going to lose them to other causes. I mean, right now everybody's is protesting the police brutality, and then, but before that it was something else. I mean, we're always competing with whatever the most trendy cause is out there, whether it's pronouns or safe spaces or whatever. And then, so since we do feel like college students are just a prime demographic to reach, it has sort of it's kind of how do I say that?
One thing you mentioned is that these are the future parents, but also these are the future doctors and policymakers.
Right. Good point. Yeah. In the future, we'd like to start going to some medical schools. We just haven't been able to do that. I think we would have done that this year if it weren't for the pandemic. But anyway, I was going to say that the students, they're the best age to reach, really, but they also have very hard workloads from their studies. So that works against us, even though they're open to our message. And but I think the biggest challenge that Cockfight is trying to address is the idea of making intactivism cool to the masses, to young people, and that's really that was the inspiration for Cockfight, was that challenge of making intactivism cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to? It'd be great if you would talk about your website design, Luke.
Right. So I'll just get right into it. Let's see there. Can you see it? So John Atkinson, in his presentation, which you won't have seen if you're watching this at home later, talked about the challenges of organizing and accessing and searching all of the memes that we have and share to educate people. And Daniel Rold has worked on collecting images, and I've taken those images and made them searchable. I can demonstrate it here on the website. I'll type in the word clean, for example, and as you can see, the images have popped up that have the word clean or cleaner in it, and this is automated. So the computer looks at the image and detects the words in it, and that's what the search goes off of. I can demonstrate like saving suns to see those
Are you going to try to
memes.
share a screen there, Luke?
I thought I already had.
I see Luke's screen. Now I don't anymore, but I did when I heard that question.
I'm sorry. Oh, that's weird. I'm not seeing it.
It's working for
No,
me.
Yeah, I see it again right now.
Okay, must be my side then. Thanks.
And so this is just
I
a
also see
proof-
Luke's screen.
Yeah, great. So this is just a proof of concept version right now. One feature I'm going to add is to search the YouTube videos like Bonobo 3D channel and search through the description of those videos, possibly a transcription of the actual words spoken in the video at a later time. And then the other next step is to allow people to upload their content and tag it and participate in the process of keeping a library of these memes. And yeah.
It's really slick. How many memes are in the library right now? Did you say?
I think it's about 2,000. And oh, I forgot to mention another feature is it detects duplicates. If you have an image that's resized or cropped, it helps eliminate the duplicates. I guess we could open up the presentation for Q&A at this point, or because I'm kind of done.
If anybody has any questions or comments or advice, or I don't know, heckles, we're used to those. We can take them.
I did see some chatting a while ago.
So Luke and Brett, if you'd like to take a moment to peruse your text chat box, you'll see a plethora of comments and questions.
Oh.
And while you take a moment to do that, I will speak to the group. If anybody has any questions they'd like to verbalize, please, by all means, activate your mic and you may start asking questions now. And otherwise, we'll take a moment to let the Cockfight team examine the chat list.
When do you expect to go back out there?
I didn't expect there to be a crowd this whole year, but now there's with all these protests, that's actually an opportunity to go out. But I don't think it would be received well, to be honest, unless you came up with some clever angle. But I don't know. Well, we're kind of waiting to see if if there's going to be a college football season this year. That's kind of my favorite thing right now is college football games. But I don't think that we know yet if there's going to be a college football season or not. We're waiting to find out.
Brett and Luke, on that note of college football, I'm sure I speak on behalf of many of our viewers with the assumption that that would be a very difficult, challenging, and potentially hostile environment. Have you experienced that, and how do you, in the face of that, how do you deal with that situation should it emerge?
Yeah, I can see why people might think that, but we really have. I don't think we've really encountered that much hostility yet. I'm trying to think of an example or a time when we were met with some hostility. Usually
Well,
everybody's just in a really good mood. We keep in mind we're only there before the game starts, so people are tailgating, partying, and stuff. After the game, it could be a different story. After they've had a few more, you know.
There has been some hostility, but one way we tried to handle that is by giving the students a voice, and we often used a megaphone, and so we would just allow the heckler to speak into the megaphone, and it's because people feel
That's
really
right.
violated by what's been done to them, and they haven't been heard, and so that just giving someone who's hostile, giving them a voice, actually diffuses the situation, and it shows that you're cool and confident in your message, and that's one way we've handled it.
Yeah, that's true. There always is like one or two people that are angry, you know, but in general, though, I feel like it's positive. Yeah, I guess there have been some parents that have shouted at us, like, "What are you doing here? I'm trying to watch my child play in the band or whatever, and you're interrupting." Yeah, that does happen sometimes.
I've done several solo protests, as most of you know, and what I get, I call them hit and runs, where people are driving by or they'll walk by or whatever and say something nasty to me, you know, smegma or whatever. They'll, you know, say something silly, and they won't stop and talk to me about it.
Do you see a difference between young men and young women in their response to your protest?
We definitely got much more people signing up to be supporters from males. It was very heavily male.
Mm.
And what happens when they sign up? Or
Well, we haven't used that contact information yet, but the idea is to help the students on each campus create their own community of intactivism, so they can have a friend who's an intactivist. They're no longer alone, and they can do a tabling event together and just really dip their toes into the movement.
Yeah, so we do need to develop a onboarding system, right?
Yeah.
We haven't really worked that out yet.
And then to assess their skills, because you've got some really talented, intelligent students out here. Some of them might be on the track to become a lawyer, enter the legal profession. Others might be going into psychology. Others might be engineers and have some talents that can contribute to the movement. And so we need to figure that out. And
Right. I think ideally we just want to stay at a college campus for a few days, like do the football game, go to visit the campus on a Monday, maybe and with all the names we've collected, then maybe have another event a day or two later and invite all of them. And that would probably be what we want to do next time we do a tour.
do you do fundraising?
We don't yet. We're super low budget, just
You
self-funded.
don't need money.
We do.
we
are. Yeah.
We've been self-funded. I had a flight that was delayed, and so they gave me a $1,000 voucher if I'd just take the next flight, and so I took that, and that's what we funded a lot of this first summer tour on.
Yeah.
But we've incorporated as a nonprofit in the state of Kansas. We're working on getting the official IRS nonprofit status, and then it'll be a lot easier to accept donations then.
But I mean, on our first tour, we just did it super low budget. We just camped out at using campsites from freecampsites.net or something like that, and then we also stayed at host homes, right? Like in a few cities. Greg Lemke's house in Nebraska, Gwendolyn Marie's house in Minnesota. You know,
There's one question from the chat from Thomas. If students have heavy workloads, make interactivism fun and a social activity. Yeah, that's pretty much, that's the idea. From Jean Christophe, is the expertise you have developed in public outreach a facet of what Brendan Murata is trying to develop, an organization capable of growing resources? Do you collaborate with him? I'm not familiar with his effort there. And I don't think we've had much collaboration, if any, with Brendan.
Oh no. Yeah, I'd be interested to know what he's doing with regard to that. Someone suggest we get a TikTok. I guess we'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
I
we're on
like,
we're on a lot of different platforms, but it's a lot of.
God, I feel like we need some more
volunteers to take over like a TikTok channel or something.
We do need more volunteers to help with social media, because to me, that's kind of like the drudgery part of the job to me. I'd rather just be out there traveling and stuff and meeting people across the country and talking to people. Doing the social media is kind of.
Okay. We've got a question from Kyle of Forefront. He says, are the images at cockfight.org easy to download? Is that search function available yet? I don't see it on the site. No, what I showed you is the next version of the website that's not released yet. The current version is just there to take your email address and link to our social media. Before I make that available, I want to be able to allow people to upload their content. Let's see, what is he? I completely agree with your approach to humor and being educational rather than scolding. I would like to start to change my mind table outside a local college. Any advice? Go for it. That's the advice. You should definitely
Just do it, right? And then
yeah,
and I say don't ask for permission, just do it and beg for forgiveness later. If they,
yeah.
I mean, I guess it is good to know your school's free speech policy first.
Yeah, one thing we'd like to do is help you connect with other people at your local colleges in local area who could help you do that stuff.
We'd also love to have people join us on the next state fair tour or college football tour. So send us a message if you want, if you're interested.
Question from Thomas: could you hold a social event in a community center for the youth with soda and get to know the locals and sow seeds? Yeah, that sounds great.
Hey guys, the only way I know to contact you right now is through Brett on Messenger. Is there are you guys going to have a contact option on your website?
Yeah, we have a email address. You can email at yourfriends@cockfight.org. You could send us a message through Facebook Messenger or I think Instagram and whatever social media we're on.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that is an interesting idea to try to find some sort of a youth community center. I'm not sure how well Cockfight would go over at a place where you kind of need to find youth where they are not guarded somehow by adults. Like, I don't know, like obviously an elementary school is not going to let you in, you know. What were you going to say?
What I meant by a youth center is, let's say, a room at a college or something, and have
I see.
Event or something, like have of a movie or an activist thing or a video or something, and then kind of, you know, like have soda or something. You could have it more kind of
exactly
protest, because yes, there's a protest and you can get information and stuff, but there's no kind of incentive to kind of stay around and kind of hear more people and what they have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Like you could show American Circumcision or Eric Klopper's play, and then have pizza or something.
Do you observe a big difference of reaction between liberal versus conservative people that you meet? Huh. Yeah, there is a difference, right?
Yeah.
How could we characterize that though?
One says, "I bet you're for abortion," and the other one says, I bet you voted for Trump.
Or they'll say something about FGM, right? Is the real atrocity or human rights violation.
Definitely at the state fairs, it draws in a rural crowd all together at once. And that's a unique phenomenon, because if you wanted to reach all the conservative population, you would have to go to all these tiny little cities, and it would just be cost prohibitive. But at the state fair, they're all gathered together. And we did notice a different culture there. There's a lot of interest in the religious aspect of the discussion. And so we found really good results from quoting the Gospels and whatnot.
That's true.
And to relate the issue back to Jesus in a very personal way to them. Whereas for people who are, and definitely I noticed on the college campus, a lot of the liberal students were very, they had the thought that they're never going to have kids, and so they don't need to care about this issue at all. So for them, we tended to talk about sex more, whereas for conservative people, it was more about religion. Yeah, find the children where nobody is guarding them. That was a little.
Okay, well, what I mean that
it's true in a different way. That
what I mean is when their parents,
people aren't protecting them from genital mutilation. Is
what I meant to say was when their parents aren't with them, because if their parents are there, I mean, you can get your message through maybe, but you got a lot less time to do it because the parents are going to throw a fit. But if they aren't there, you can talk to the kids, if they're going into this by themselves.
How can we contact you if we want to volunteer to do some online work? I think probably emailing or messaging on Facebook to the Facebook page, or we're also on Discord, but probably email.
Hey guys, I saw the slide where you guys were at like a kids baseball game or something like that. How did the parents react when you were there?
We weren't at a kids baseball game.
It was some sort of game. It was some sort of team. It looked like they were like teenagers or younger.
Dang, I think
one of your slides.
I think I closed the slide presentation. I would bring that back up. Can you bring it up, Luke?
No. But your question was, how did the parents react?
No, here it is.
I know Gregory Malchuk has often suggested that we go protest in front of like high schools and baseball games, little league baseball games, stuff like that, to get the young generation's attention. And the fear is the backlash that might occur. Yeah, there you go. By parents by doing protests like that. So I was actually quite impressed to see that you're there with those young men.
That's what I mean by finding when their parents aren't around. I mean, it is possible. this is at a college football game, and there's just looks like a bunch of junior high kids just going to the game. I don't know why they're wearing their jersey. I guess they're all on the same football team, but their parents are not around, so they're just, and you know, they were really very curious, and you know, we got a few photos. Honestly, we probably need it's kind of chaotic at these football games, so it's kind of hard to have a meaningful conversation with them because everybody's just, there's just a lot of chaos.
It's interesting that those young men wanted to have a picture with you, so
Yeah.
I'd really like to know what their thoughts are on this subject.
I know.
I mean, most people don't want me to talk into their, you know, underage child about the topic.
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean by not finding when their parents are not around. It's a little easier to. But when you're at an event like this, just the more people you have with you, the more interactives you have, the obviously the better job you can do. When you're only just, like on that day, we were just me and Lauren Brown, it's two of us, and it is kind of hard to do everything you need to do. Get our own pictures and video, talk to the kids, give them info cards. So if we had a few more interactives, we could kind of do a little better job of educating them, I feel like. But we did the best we could. Gave them card. Everybody got a card. But that's just, you have to just kind of, I feel like you have to search out events where you can find those kids without their parents around. Like at parades, there's a lot of kids, but they're with their parents a lot of times, and their parents will start screaming when you walk by, saying some sort of activist slogan. They'll start throwing a fit, which sometimes works to our advantage, you know, because the kids are like, maybe there's something to that. It piques their curiosity. If anything.
There's a question from John Christoph. Do you already have any collaboration with other organizations? I would say Bloodstained Men is the only organization we've really collaborated with. But we, you know, I think we're caught up on the question.
Bloodstained Men basically taught us everything we know. We've both done several tours with the Bloodstained Men.
What do you see as your key differences to Bloodstained Men?
I gotta be a little diplomatic too, but
you're not doing the national tours just yet, are you?
Well, we went interstate on our tour last fall.
That's true.
We crossed state borders.
Well, we're kind of in the experimental phase. We're figuring out what the organization's style is, and I think Bloodstained Men is tied in a large part to the Bloodstain suit, and we found on college campuses that sometimes the Bloodstain suit was a little off-putting. So that's something that we would experiment with not doing, for example, and just have a completely more of a casual, fun kind of a demonstration or education event rather than a protest. It's a totally different vibe. But then at a football game or something, it is a little bit more of a different vibe. A little more of a protest vibe works.
Yeah, that is true about the bloodstained pants. I haven't found too many college men that want to wear the bloodstained suit. We were going to when we went to the University of Missouri, there was a college student, a male college student, an activist, and he kept telling me that he was going to join us, And I told him, you know, where we were going to be and when we were going to be. And he just kept saying he was going to be there. And then he didn't show up. And he made up some lie, like some excuse why he couldn't be there. Like he overslept or something. But then later that day, we finally did meet up with him. And the truth came out that he did not want to be seen with us. He did not want, not only did he not want to wear bloodstained pants, he didn't want to be seen with other people that were wearing bloodstained pants in front of his friends, because all his friends were at the college football game. So he would be, I mean, you can just imagine how hard of a time all his buddies would give him, right? You know, probably for the rest of his college career. But, you know, so he didn't even want to take that chance, really. So that just kind of made me realize we've got to make it cool somehow. Yeah. So I'm kind of questioning whether or not I'm kind of questioning the what's the right word? The contagiousness of the blood, the ability for it to spread and go viral among that age group. Obviously,
I say flip it on its head. Say, hey, why aren't you protesting? Why don't you care about this issue? Why don't you care about body autonomy?
Yeah, but I mean, you just got to remember what it was like to be that age. People are very sensitive of what their friends think of them, you know, and they don't want to be teased the rest, you know, by all their friends. So
Anthony Lasquadro mentioned wear a rooster mascot costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought about doing that because it creates more of a fun circus style feel, and that makes people feel comfortable to approach.
Yeah, and that would even give someone an opportunity to be anonymous at the protest if they wanted to wear the mascot costume. That's one way to participate while being anonymous. So we have looked up. That's something we need some money for but we do want to get one of those actually.
Could wear a penis costume.
Yeah.
You guys have very unique and particular experience in different forms of messaging to the public. And I'd like to understand a bit more about your insights in the pros and cons of what at Foreskin Revolution, what we call messaging light versus messaging dark. It's the full integrated plethora of messaging. So messaging dark is talking to the harms, messaging light is talking to the benefits, and the celebrating foreskin. And they're both critically important as part of an integrated platform. Can you please share your different experiences with the two and what that all means, what we can learn from that? Because they're both valuable.
Yeah. I think of in terms of what setting we're going to be at, what sort of environment we're going to be at for what messaging we're going to be at. Like, if we're going to be at a doctor's conference, you can use the most scathing, the darkest messages you can think of. But at an environment where people are looking to have a good time, it does not go over well when you're not even.
I was going to use the costume part, like.
You're looked at as a like an intruder when you come into the college football game or something like that. You're on their campus, right? So I feel like you got to just use those light messages. I feel like, but if you're at a more public space, like maybe a public sidewalk in front of a state fair, you're completely on public space, so you could use the mix of the dark messages and stuff. That's just how I think about it. Is the environment that you're going to be in, and the mood of the people. If it's a festive setting, then you got to use more humor. But Luke, did you have anything you want to add to that about?
No.
About the
I was kind of
light,
distracted. Sorry. Light versus dark messaging.
Talking about light versus dark messaging.
I really prefer to do the light in general if I can. Especially for younger people, because I guess part of the dark is when you've hurt your own child before you learn the truth. And that I think that that's kind of lifted when we're talking to these young kids. That's not even there. So it makes it easier to talk about the dark, I think, to college kids, because they haven't done it to their kids. They haven't hurt someone else yet, or at all. I shouldn't say yet.
Yeah. But you can always just have a mix of signs, you know, and people can just respond to whichever one that resonates with them, right, out there. But yeah, I mean, everybody's psychology is different. So, but I just feel like as a street educator or protester, whatever you want to call it, I just enjoy. I've come to just enjoy myself more when I'm promoting the foreskin positivity, right? When I'm using humor, I feel like I'm perceived as really, you know, cool and sophisticated, you know, and just you know, fun to be around, fun loving, and when I've used some humor, so I think I enjoy myself more with that, and people want to take pictures, they want to get selfies with you when it's a humorous message, which is obviously good, because, and you know, then it has a chance to go viral among their friends. And
do you also experience that intake boys, men come up to you, like maybe you remember in on the campus of St. Where was it, Charleston or something, where you made a video, and then they're mostly happy, you know, like, oh yeah, I thought I was you know, maybe made fun of, but now, you know, this is reassuring. Or
oh yeah, with the intact boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to have develop some resources to give young men to help them respond to bullying and to build up their self-esteem. That would be, I know our physical presence out there is great, but it seems like there's kind of a lack of that in the movement in general.
Yeah, that's definitely a reason we're out there at those, wherever we go, is to make intact boys and men feel vindicated after all the bullying they may have received in their life, or teasing.
One thing I wanted, Dolores came to mention, I don't know if she's been able to get back on the call, but she's also, oh, there she is.
Hi. I just wanted to say, kind of just to build on some of the things you guys were talking about, because we talked about costuming, what we're going to wear that might be different, what Cockfight can wear that might be different. And we've also had a discussion about the female side of Cockfight and calling us smart chicks and playing off of that, so that it would be fun. A hen costume, you know, something like that, just so attention grabbing and silly that it disarms people, but also being called smart chicks, that would be the positivity. Because Cockfight does have a little bit of a scrappy, you know, idea, you know, around it. So for the female side of that to be called the smart chicks, we know something you don't know, maybe, or we know better, without actually saying we know something you don't know and we know better. And having handouts around that and signs around that, we've discussed.
Yeah, well, one thing about this issue is that it's sexual. Am I muted? Let's see. Yeah, so that kind of makes the conversations a little awkward when it's mixed, and when it's an all-male audience versus an all-female audience. I think people are a little more able to open up and talk about the issue, and people have unique harms. Women have unique perspective on this issue. Yeah.
And the more, like Brett said too, the more intactivists we can get out there, the better. And the more diverse we can be in our representation, the better. Old, young, male, female, different ages, different education levels, backgrounds.
And in the couple of minutes we have left for the presentation, just a very quick last couple of questions on what you were just saying in terms of growing members and also active team members that share the workload. Any comments about that? Such as, Brett, your specialty is public advocacy, and you pointed to the fact you would perhaps like a team member who worked on social media.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like one of our challenges is that we just don't live in the same city. I mean, ideally, we all live in the same house, have a Cockfight house, and just be able to collaborate 24/7, you know? But short of that, it is. It's
a funding
tough.
stream. We need a funding stream.
It's tough to have somebody doing social media if they're in a different area, because just getting on the same page all the time is I don't know. I don't know, Luke. What do you have any thoughts on that, or Dolores?
I would love the Cockfight house, but we definitely need a funding stream. You know, funding is everything. Money, money, money.
Yeah.
Would a Cockfight house be called a chicken coop? From David. Yeah.
Well, I think the chicken coop is a great note to end on. Thank you so much for your informative and energized presentation today from the Cockfight team. You're doing an amazing job, and you bring something unique, special, and different. And so with that, yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to watching the replay of this of the conference, because I missed most of it, unfortunately.
Me too.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for setting this up, Michael. It's really great.
It's our pleasure. We will provide those links and that information. So this formally will bring to an end the Cockfight presentation. So we'll end the recording of that now, and we will now transition to our closing remarks. So thanks again, Cockfight.